If that were to go that route, because goodness gracious, I do not think that would be a good game whatsoever. Georgia TCU. So
we shall see. But last part about Georgia Ohio State, the team who does blank will win this game.
I think if Stetson Bennett, like if this Jim Knowles defense gets home and they are able to do kind of the same stuff that Mizzou did, where they really just send the house and they just see what happens with Georgia's wide receivers, and they're like, see if you can get open. We'll see. We're going to send everybody, and we're going to bet that your wideouts cannot get open. What happens when we take away Brock Bowers? And that's easier said than done. But, I mean, Tennessee, Brock Bowers was not a real factor in the Tennessee game. It's like Tennessee focused so much on limiting that part of it that it was like, right.
Is that because Bowers was shut down, or is that because just other guys were making plays?
Maybe. I don't know. But Brock Bowers was making plays in every other game, basically. So I don't know. I think Tennessee deserves some credit for Brock Bowers not having a big-time day. Either way, doesn't matter. I think if Stetson is getting hurried and Stetson is under the same kind of duress that he was under against like a Mizzou, I wonder what that does. I think if Stetson has time, like he did against Oregon, and he's just able to pick you apart and just go to Bowers here, Bowers there, and Ohio State has to play from behind like that, I don't see CJ Stroud being the guy to be like, all right, we're down 17-0, we can bounce back, like we're gonna be all right. Like I don't see that. So if they're not all over Stetson early, and I'm not seeing like Stetson having to roll out from the pocket and Stetson getting dinged up a little bit, I'm like, oh, Georgia's rolling. So I think that's the key for me, is if Stetson has a clean pocket, just right, it's over. Georgia's covering and winning big.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I want to say like the team that wins the running battle wins this game, just because Georgia's so good at making teams be one-dimensional. And so if Ohio State is actually able to run the ball and keep Georgia honest, like I think that goes huge for them. And then on the other side, if Georgia's actually able to run the ball and take pressure off of Stetson to have to win it for them, it's massive for them. So that kind of goes both ways. But I feel like the team that wins the turnover battle is who wins, because you've seen in the games that Georgia's almost lost this year, it's the games that they've turned the ball over multiple times. So if Ohio State can get some key turnovers, I think that's a way that they can win this game. But yeah, we'll obviously get more into our picks later in the week, but wanted to touch on that one. And then Michigan TCU. What do you want to see in this Michigan TCU game?
This is tough because I'm good. Like I said, I'm revealing my cards, and it's nothing against you, TCU. I appreciate you guys. Great run. I'm just going to be pulling so hard for the Michigan Wolverines here. Like, I want no
What do you have against TCU now?
Because I just know that they can't win the gauntlet. You know what I mean? Like, they just can't win a title. So I just look at them as like, you're just occupying space, and I just want the best possible national title, and the best possible national title is Michigan, Georgia.
So what you want to see from this game is TCU just not be around anymore.
I want TCU to have the game from hell. I'm not even kidding. Like, I want to see them playing with their food week after week, struggling with team after team, having to scurry your special teams on to beat Baylor late, a Baylor team that did not beat a ranked team all year long. Like, I want this to die, unfortunately, Matt Green. I want it to die. I want it to be ugly. I want Michigan to do what Georgia did to Michigan in the semifinal last year. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a Michigan J.J. McCarthy beatdown where it's like, unleash the fury, J.J. Shout out to Road Trip, a movie that you text me about often. I'm like, hey, have you thought about quoting Road Trip more on the podcast? And I'm like, all right, that's what you want.
You mentioned Road Trip a few times.
Yeah. Either way, that's what I think is I want this to be an absolute blowout. I don't want this to be particularly close, Matt Green.
Well, if I'm picking one thing I definitely want it to be a close game. I think we all want it to be an entertaining.
I don't want my heart rate to be up, Matt Green.
We've seen enough blowouts in the college football playoff.
It's true.
To at least want it to be a close game. But I really want to see what Michigan's defense is made of. Like, I think a lot has been made this year about the defenses being played in the Big Ten this year, and it kind of alluded to it with Ohio State this year. Like I really want to figure out how legit the Big Ten is. Like that's the number one thing I want to see from this playoff in general. Like you look at these two teams, TCU has faced 8 top 50 offenses this year in a 13-game schedule. I guess they played 12 teams because they played Kansas State twice. Michigan has faced 2 top 50 offenses, and they've faced 8 of the bottom 30 offenses in college football. So, like, part of this could be the Big Ten just playing great defense week in, week out. But part of it could be that they don't play very good offense in the Big Ten. And TCU is a super dynamic offense. And this is a better offense than other than Ohio State. This is a better offense than Michigan's seen all season. And they're also a different approach to Ohio State with the quarterback being such a running threat. They haven't faced a team. And you saw Sean Clifford. I mean, what do you have, like a 50-yard? It wasn't a touchdown. I think he got pulled down inside the 5 or something. But Clifford had like 70, 80 yards in this game against Michigan. Like, that's probably the only game that someone really gave him trouble. But it's, Michigan, Ohio State seasons this year, they didn't really have a murderer's row. They kind of had a handful of maybe like 2 or 3 games that you were worried about them potentially getting challenged. But so I think just this offense and seeing what this Michigan defense really is, like I wonder if they're as elite as they look on paper, because I don't think they've seen an offense like Max Duggan and TCU yet.
But on the flip side, they're elite on defense, and they're also elite on offense. Like they're the number 2 offensive net points per drive per BCF toys. Georgia's number 1, by the way. Ohio State number 3, Bama number 4, Tennessee 5. But yeah, that's your top 5.
Where's TCU there?
Down there at 16th.
Okay. But there's still, like, Ohio State is, really a great offense. But, I mean, who's the next best offense they've played? Penn State?
Yeah, Penn State's number 6, by the way.
So, I mean, that's a solid stat as far as that goes. But
TCU
still
is
kind of question.
85th in passing offense, 64th in rushing defense.
Who's that?
TCU is 85th in passing defense in the country, 64th in rushing.
I think they've just faced I think there's been a lot. It's just, this is why the expanded playoff is going to be good, because I think we will finally get to a point of just every conference will be represented in the playoff. And sometimes there's years, I know if an SEC champion went 10-3 one year, we would all be arguing that's just because of the gauntlet of the SEC. It's just hard to get out of there unscathed. That's probably what Utah fans are arguing right now. We went 10-3 versus a gauntlet of a schedule where we played the best conference in college football and even played Florida down in the SEC. Like, so to see these conferences actually face each other, the Big 12's been, kind of, I don't know, disrespected, if that's the right word, this year. But I think people have kind of disrespected TCU. Like, yeah, who have they played? They played Kansas State, and then Kansas State blasted them the second, or not blasted them, but Kansas State beat them the second time they played. So how good are they really? I think there's a lot of naysayers, and I'm kind of one of them for the Big Ten this year. Like, I don't really know how good of the product we saw out of the Big Ten this year, and it's interesting that this is the year that they get 2 teams in the playoff.
That's fair. I don't see it. It is weird that the spreads are pretty close. 7.5 for Michigan right now, and 6.5 for Georgia.
Yeah, that is. So the team that does blank wins this game.
If Michigan with Donovan Edwards, without Blake Corum, that sucks for Michigan too, to just not have their Heisman candidate running back for the rest of the way here. If JJ McCarthy, we look up and it's like, if JJ McCarthy's at like 18 of 24 in the fourth quarter, 2 TDs, no picks, it's like, oh, Michigan's won this game like 31-7. That's what I see here. So if JJ McCarthy's stat line looks very clean, the completion percentage is high, he hasn't had to throw a lot, and they've been able to establish the run even without Corum, it's like, oh, they win this game. Like, if TCU is not in a position, they never put the game in JJ McCarthy's hands to win.